Fellow prepper, I'd like to thank you for joining me for another episode of Real Day Preppers, the one and only show that'll show you the truth without any corporate spin. We'll be talking to preppers, homesteaders, bushcraftsmen, as well as tactical and gun guys. This show is all about them, what they do, how they do it, and why they do it, without any of the corporate spin or outside influences. So join me as we take you on this journey and show you the real thing and how they do it and why they do it. Y'all take care and enjoy the show. Hey guys, welcome to another RDP show, and I want to thank you all for hanging in there with us. And today we're going to be looking at
Wyatt One Able.
Wyatt One Able. And since he's down here in where are we at? Aden, something like
California.
that, up in the mountains. He just happened to be in town, so we decided to do this. And we brought a little bit of video, or basically pictures and stuff like that I've got down here on a laptop, and we're going to look at those and talk to them, and then just kind of go through and see how things are going. So, how you liking it up here from the Florida weather?
I'm enjoying the cool weather up here. It's still 80s down there and humid, and it's nice to be up in the cool weather.
Yeah, yeah. Let's take a let's look at what we got going on here first. This picture here is pretty hairy. You want to go into what you're doing and what the situation is?
Well, the reason I selected that to be the first one is it reminds me to tell everybody why I prep in case of emergencies, obviously, and that was the backdrop with the window going on. I am a corporate pilot, and I'm gone about half the time that you know I live. So my wife being back at home is the reason I prep, and she needs to have things that can sustain her, because if I'm in this plane and things go bad, it's going to take me a long time to get home. So I want her to be comfortable with the food and water that we have saved up, guns and ammo, and she does know how to shoot. We've been to the range multiple times. She's pretty comfortable and very good with the weapon, I might add. I've incorporated our neighbors to be on the lookout for and to help her as well, because they know I'm gone a lot. So we have that going on. We have extended friends in the area that will check on her if they can get to her.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously the reason I prep, or most people prep, is for family. And beyond that, the longer answer is I have a concern of economic collapse.
Mm-hmm.
There's been recent examples that you know, Iran's a good example. We've cut off dollars to their country because of their process of trying to get a nuclear weapon, but it has done little to hurt their economy, because they know that oil is more valuable than the American dollar.
Mm-hmm.
And they are using that to their advantage. They're trading oil for other currencies, to include gold, and that's just an example of you know, them showing our vulnerabilities.
Right.
Our economic is one of the reasons we're strong, but I think it's one of the reasons that we're weak too. Our system is, I think, been weakened since Nixon took us off the gold standard.
Absolutely.
And so I'm concerned long-term economic collapse. Living in Florida, I started the process of prepping because of the 2004 hurricane season. We had the 4 that came through, and we had some food on hand. We didn't have any water stored, and although city water continued, we didn't have electricity for 5 days, and I didn't have a generator at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's how unprepared I was. So after that came and went, we started rethinking how we're going to...
That seems like that was the turning point to kind of open your eyes.
It started, at least in the generator and keeping some food on hand. Monarch 42 and I have a common friend who spent his whole career in the Air Force being an intelligence analyst.
Mm-hmm.
And he is probably the reason that I started taking a real serious look at prepping, because he warned me of some of the things he was concerned about, to include economic collapse. And so he started putting the nuts and bolts to my overall thought of prepping. He kind of nailed down some issues that he thought we should be prepping for. And when it comes down to it, it doesn't really matter what you're prepping for, just that you're prepping.
Right.
Anything is out there that can hurt you. So
yeah, you can be prepped all day long, but a hurricane come through your place and throw it all over.
Yeah.
And take out your generator or whatever. But at least you've got the mindset and the the know-how and some other things we're going to talk about a little bit later on some other options you have. But that's a scary picture right there, I gotta say.
Yeah, we were 38,000 feet, and it made such a loud bang.
What hit it?
Nothing. Windshields fail on occasion because they're heated, and what typically happens is if the heat element fails, or if the switch was left off and then the pilot turns it on, the instant heat against that cold, because it's minus 40 degrees up there.
Wow.
In this case, the heat was on, it just failed. And it was so loud that the customer in the back came forward and was asking what we hit.
Mm-hmm.
And we said it was just a failed side window there. So
Probably scared the hell out of them.
yeah, it scared me more because I was right next to it. It was loud enough that I thought a shotgun had gone off. It was that loud. So I obviously went back and landed.
But was there any? You were kind of explaining this to me before, and this really has nothing to do with prepping. But it's this is his life and this is his experience.
Yeah.
And it's something I didn't realize. It's you get what, 2 windshields there or something like that. So
Yeah,
it's like
there's
you weren't all of a sudden getting the wind.
No,
and the
there's
cold.
a inner pane and an outer pane, and this was actually I don't know which one failed because there's actually also a plastic cover, so you couldn't really tell which one failed. But we have a checklist you go through, and it tells you what to do. In this case, it was land. So
Yeah, seems reasonable.
yeah,
That's a pretty cracked up window there.
pretty straightforward. And if we had made a determination that it was either the inner or outer pane, the checklist goes into further because if it was one or the other, and quite frankly, I don't remember which one allows you to continue on. But since we couldn't decipher which one was failed, we just landed. And
Take the safer route.
yeah, it's always what we do.
Right on. Well, I like the your explanation on what you got into it. And that was pretty cool. Let's check out what you got next here.
Well,
Oh, that's beautiful.
this
What
is
we got?
Mordok 42's house, and I bought this from a neighbor who you'll introduce later. But it was a piece of history, and it got my interest because it has no electronics, and everything I have at home has electronic ignition and computer controlled, and he was good enough to sell it to me, and it became about a 2-year project now. I don't have any pictures of its current state, but it's my EMP-proof vehicle basically, and backup plan. It also will tie into a picture I selected out that comes up later. It fits into my Bugout trailer, so there's a whole plan we can talk about when we get to that.
Okay, let's
but-
take another look at that. Looks
Yeah.
like you are actually doing some work
Yeah.
there, or at least pretending. And
Yeah.
Modoc was actually coming in behind you and doing the real welding.
Yeah, he did most of the work. Yeah. Now, this is down in Florida. We got it shipped down there, and of course the shipping cost more than the vehicle itself did.
Well, imagine.
That's typical. But yeah, like I said, the body came off. It was a frame-up restoration. It ran pretty good when I got it, so I kept the valve train and.
Did it have the little
everything.
4-banger in it?
Yeah.
Yep.
63, I think it was, engine in there, and decided to keep it in there because it's actually a better engine than the original, which was a flathead. This one has a little more power and parts aren't quite as expensive, so I decided to keep it in there. But a lot of body work. The initial look at it didn't seem that bad, but there was a lot of rust, so we, took it down and did the body work. You can see just underneath the door some of the rust I had to contend with, but
Yeah, I see that.
got the new wheels and tires on this picture. The interior had been sprayed with truck liner, so that it's well preserved now. And most of the body work is done. But again, it ties into my preps because it's a backup vehicle in case EMP takes out electronics.
Or an Iranian nuke right off the
Yeah.
coast. That's a concern.
It's it's cheap to run. I do have extra parts for it, and as you'll see later, I have a backup plan for how I'm gonna keep fuel in it. But,
Okay.
That's that.
Great. I think before we move on, why don't we go ahead and let a sponsor get a word in edgewise and refresh our drinks or whatever we got to do.
All right. I'll do that.
So, y'all, be back in just a few minutes. Thanks for hanging in there. right, guys. Thanks for hanging in there. Now check this out. Here's a whole new subject and another thing he's got going on. Why don't you tell us what we're looking at here?
Yeah, one of my, I guess my strong points is I have been blessed to have a retreat location. I live in Florida. We found this cabin in Tennessee. Actually started off just looking for some property. We found this rather rough cabin within our budget, so we decided to start renovating, and it was from the floor up. We literally had to tear out the old floors because the prior owners, they would keep their dogs in there, and they'd go away for 2-3 weeks, and the dogs had food and water, but of course they used the bathroom and just totaled the house. So subfloor up restoration, all new wiring, plumbing. You can see Morlock 42 there. Always take advantage of his talent. He's a great guy to have around, and hopefully I can get him close by someday. But just a shot of what we're working on there to make a retreat or a retirement home. If things remain in good standing, then we'll hopefully retire up there one day. But because of my prepping mindset, I call it a retreat. That's my Bugout location.
Absolutely. What have we got next?
Just another shot of work. Yeah, I'm standing in the dining room looking across. It's only 1,000 square feet, but it's just my wife and I, so we have, enough room.
Mm-hmm.
Storage is an issue, and the 2x4s you see standing up next to the door there's what something Morlock and I came up with. It's a closet, as well as a little computer station on the back side. The top shelf is a book stand, and then there's on the back side where you can't see in this photo is like a little nook, a nook shelf for just stuff basically. So I thought it was really good of design that Morlock came up with, how to use small space and incorporate different ideas into one area. So
absolutely,
because it is a small cabin, so we take advantage of all the room we can.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Wow.
And here's kind of the finished project on the outside.
That is beautiful. I like the railings.
Yeah, we came up with that. My wife is from Germany, and she wanted something to remind her of home, so she came up with that design. And
no, what is that design? What significance is it?
It's just Bavarian. She's from Bavaria area, and it's a lot of German homes have this on their porches.
Mm-hmm.
And the good thing about this is she wanted these to be handmade, so I got to buy a bandsaw out of the deal.
There you go.
And so I got a bandsaw, and we started.
Too bad you didn't want some more bullet holes in it. Get a new gun out of the deal.
Yeah, but no, we cut them up. She helped sand everything, and she and I put them up. I think we made 85 or 100, whatever, but we made a lot. It took us days, but it really did set the house off.
It really does.
It looks like a big house. The downstairs is all dirt. There's nothing down there. It's just the upper floor. Although to the left of the picture, there was an add-on we did. That's
that finished section?
Yeah, that's the storage and laundry room, and then above that's the lounge or bar or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ever get up in that area, I got plenty of room for you.
You better have plenty of bar room.
And the reason I selected this is I wanted to point out in the back of that truck there is you see the shiny area, that's a 100-gallon tank, diesel. So I've ensured that I can get from Florida to this retreat location without having to stop for fuel.
That's pretty smart.
And we've been up to this location, 20 times. We've taken so far 4 different routes, and we're going to incorporate another route that's going to include a stop at 1952 Jeep's house. He's invited us to stop there. We'd be leaving Florida, going through Alabama, past his house if we needed to stop and spend a night or two there for whatever reason. It's just another option, and that's what my channel's all about.
And while we're on that subject, 1952 Jeep, I've thrown the offer out there. I want to do an RDP interview with you, sir. So get off your butt and let's talk. He's a hell of a guy, and he does a lot of good things.
And he's got a lot going on, a lot more than I do.
He's got a lot to teach, so hit me up.
He got you in trouble.
Hit me up. All right, so sorry.
That's all right, but the trailer there is large enough that I can actually put the Jeep inside. And so if I'm en route and the truck breaks down, or we just can't haul that much stuff, traffic's at a standstill and we have to, abandon this rig, we can roll the Jeep out and continue.
There you go.
And then from the Jeep, I have another backup where the backpacks, I have the Alice packs and that kind of thing. So we're gonna get to the Tennessee place one way or the other.
Right.
The hardest part, I think, will be deciding when it's time to go.
Yeah, when it's time to. And fortunately, if you're taking this setup and you're leaving, and it turns out not to be the mass, we're back in 1800s or something like that, you can just go back home.
Yeah. My neighbors know I go up there enough to where I can just say, "Oh, fake,"
Yeah.
Psych, I didn't really go because I'm bugging out. But that's going to be the hard part, I think, is deciding when it's time to go. Because you don't want to wait too late and then the freeways are backed up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or my alternate routes. The other routes include a stop at my brother's house. He lives in South Carolina. We have a friend in North Carolina. So we do have options. And that's what my channel's all about, of course. So I try to keep all that open. But I guess that's it on that.
Okay.
Can't think of anything else.
Let's see what else we got here. All right, now I'll tell you what, I think this is probably a good point. Let's take a break and we'll be back in a few minutes, guys.
Okay.
Thanks for hanging in there. Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the show. I need to hear from you. I need preppers, homesteaders, bushcraftsmen, and survivalists. I need to hear from anybody that wants to share their story, tell their truth, what they've done and how they do it. And we can do it all via Skype with some of your filming. So get a hold of me at realdaypreppers@gmail.com. And let's see if we can work something out. All right? Y'all take care and enjoy the show. Talk to you later. Hey guys, okay. Thanks again for hanging in there, and let's move on. Looks like we're getting into more of the food storage on this one now.
Well, we're back at home in Florida. I'm blessed to have two places that I can go to. The hard part of that is trying to maintain both places, and where do you put your assets?
Right.
Again, going back to that trailer, that's the reason I got the enclosed trailer is if I have time, I will put my food storage in. There's water as well, and take it with me. There's room for the food storage and the Jeep, and our dogs and cats. But right now, what I'm working on, since the retreat's not finished, is most of the food, well, all the food storage that is in the Florida house. So what I did here is just took pictures of some of what I have. I didn't show all my cards, but just an example of what I store.
Yeah, that's
the basics. This is actually a center closet from the front door. That we used to have, like Christmas wrappings and different things like that, and as we have evolved and my wife became more on board with the prepping thing, I was able to get the stuff out we never use and have more room for our preps.
Good. It looks like you're doing a little bit more there. Now, the first thing I see right there is that looks like a ballistic there in the corner. What is it?
Yeah, not really part of my preps, but it is a part of my history. I'm a retired Army, and I used to fly Cobras, and that's a 2.75-inch rocket that was polished and turned into an award upon leaving that particular unit. So, if you do a good job, you're recognized, and that's kind of the fun part about the military. There's other awards in other parts of the room, but yeah, that's wasn't supposed to be there. It's part of my preps, obviously, but this is actually in our master bedroom, and one of the things my wife's not crazy about having it, but it's a big room, and I hate not using the space. So
absolutely,
we have obviously just got started here. The bottom rack there needs to, we have more room to expand with some canned goods.
Yeah, it looks like. Now, is that store bought? Was it Self-Reliance that sells those?
Well, actually, that was
something you made.
One of the reasons on YouTube is you learn, and this was something that Arkansas Prepper had. These are fold-out cardboard storage units that once they're assembled, it makes it really easy to rotate your canned goods. You put the canned good on top, it rolls back and then comes forward. So you always pull off the bottom. But thank you, Arkansas Prepper, for that video.
Does he sell those?
No, it's a company that sells them. I don't remember the company who does it.
Oh,
but,
okay.
But you can go to Arkansas Prepper and
ask him.
He's got a video. So
there you go.
He has got a video. I don't know. I think a package 3 is, I don't remember the cost, but you get a package of 3 of them. And then there's 2 or 3 different sizes as well. But
And what's in the gray bags there up on the second shelf? Down
temporarily stored their flour and sugar.
there? Okay.
That was in the waiting area so that I can make smaller portions with a food processor I have so I can, store them better. But that was a transition there. So that's, just flour and sugar.
Okay. It looks like you're getting on the ball there.
Yeah. Working on it. Another area of the house, just pantry on the top. The cardboard again is that store-bought system, and
Mm-hmm.
the wood racks below are something I actually built.
Are those? Do they roll down, or is it just everything?
Same deal.
Same concept.
Same concept. The roll. You stop the new to the top, and then as you use them, you come off the bottom, and they roll.
Yeah, that's something I really need to get into. I got mine just stacked on a shelf, and
Yeah, it's hard to restock because
Man.
you're always moving everything forward and then trying.
not
to
to mention the fact that it just takes up that much more room.
Yeah.
Where that's a hell of a system. Let's see what we got next year. There's more.
Yeah, morph shot. It's actually the same.
Oh, okay.
Just trying to get the shot of how the cans rotate there, but yeah, just more stuff.
Well, looks good. Looks good. Looks like we're moving into the fun stuff.
Yeah.
What do we got here?
Not a huge gun guy, but over the years you collect stuff. The AR-50, AK-47 on top there kind of goes along with the idea of the cabin. Our retreat has a very defendable area. God forbid it gets that bad, but there's only one road in and one road out.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually bought that with the idea of putting on the corner of that porch and looking down the road if need be, and deter anybody from thinking they're going to come up the hill and
That's
look at our stuff. So that's kind of the reason that's sitting there. The 22 with the scope at the bottom, I think most people will agree if they've been into YouTube and how people think about it. You don't really need a gun so much for self-defense unless things go really bad, but you'll definitely need one for hunting, especially in my area. We actually feed raccoons and squirrels to attract them, so we've actually got livestock that we can, choose from if we have to.
well, that's good.
So we have a 22 for that, for that option anyway if we need to. We got a varmint gun with lots of rounds.
Yeah, that's my opinion on the 22. That's probably the second most important gun you should have, if not the first. The 12 gauge I like better because you can take a bear,
Yeah.
or a bird. But the 22, you can stock so much on the ammo, so cheap. And I don't care how badass you think you are, you're shooting a pellet gun at me, I'm trying to move out of the way.
Yeah.
So that's a good option. What's that lever gun there?
30-30.
Nice.
Found that in a local gun store for $199.
Wow.
And I thought it was really cheap. And the reason they sell it cheap is because it's actually Sears Roebuck.
Ah,
But they told me, and I can't remember exactly, it was either Remington or Marlin made gun for Sears.
I think Marlin made most of them
Yeah,
for Sears, if
but
I remember
it
right. I could be
shoots.
wrong.
That thing is so fun to shoot. It's very accurate just with the iron sights. But I did buy it because, if I get a chance to take down a deer or something, then that's kind of the reason I have that. The pistols along the bottom there.
Obviously, my background is one that's standing out.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But go ahead and start off on whichever side. And
Well, the one to the left was one my wife actually brought home from Germany. It's an old Walter PPK. I think it's a '61 model. Very sought after gun. But that was her personal defense. Well, it still is, but I actually carry it more than she does because it's just easy to carry. But the 6-shooter there is a Ruger single action 44 Magnum.
Vaquero? Ruger Vaquero?
I'm not sure, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
But it puts out a fire.
I've got a little experience with Vaquero, so.
When that thing fires, it's a fireball. It's fun to fire. But the 9mm is something I bought in Germany when I was there in the late '80s. It's a 9mm. Well, I said that, but Czechoslovakian made CZ85.
Okay, that's easy.
And actually, the one I fired in making masterclass shout out for Mickey Masterclass. Did a
Good guy.
range video, and I fired that, and then he fired it, and he was real impressed with it. I had since found out that in fact, Not in Fancy did a video and said that the CZ was actually very sought after by competition shooters, which I didn't know. But it's a keeper. That thing is real accurate. It has never failed me.
Oh.
And then the Smith & Wesson there, it's a 5-shot hammerless gun that my wife keeps next to her bed when I'm gone, so don't show up
There you go.
uninvited, because she knows how to shoot that thing.
Yep.
And that's the arsenal so far. And last count, we have 6,800 rounds, and still working on stocking up when there's a sale, and
Absolutely.
trying to get to that 10,000 mark, which is kind of the secret number I've heard go around on YouTube and stuff. So
I think there's no secret number. It's just there's never enough, because whether it's for use or barter,
yeah, exactly.
because if somebody's got a gun and they don't have ammo, they just have an expensive rock.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
bullets, I think, are probably will be one of the biggest sought after items if it's a total grid down back in the 1800s type thing.
That's true.
Looks like you got a blade or two here.
Again, I'm not really a collector, and I don't consider myself a gun or a knife guy, but it kind of goes along with prepping in a way. I mean, most of these have been purchased prior to the label of prepper, but I mean, I have a choice of what I carry, and typically carry a Leatherman for everyday use, so just handy.
Mm-hmm.
And then depending on what I'm doing, camping, I'll take that top right, that's a K-bar with a multi-tool and some fire starter and needle. It's kind of a kit. The only thing I don't have is cordage and cover.
Mm-hmm.
The 5 C's of survivability, but I've got most everything I need on that one knife. And then I just threw in the picture of the survival radio or the weather radar.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, just a weather radio, and then the walkie-talkies is kind of. I'm not showing everything I have, but communication is going to be a real important thing too.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing I haven't figured out with my work. I'm going to be very distant, or could be very distant from my wife, and it's just we really have no way of communicating each other if the grid goes down, cell phones and what have you. So again,
unfortunately, if the whole grid, because my first thought was I was going to mention, getting ham radios, getting licensed and all that, but if the grid goes down, the repeaters are down.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't be
I don't know.
either.
That's the best I can do for her is make sure she has food and water and protection, and I'm going to have to rely on my neighbors to take it from there. I mean, the generator we have right now, for instance, is just a pole start, and she can't start it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's inconvenient. So one of the things I want to do is get an electric start generator so that she has,
Problem
no
with that
problem.
is that if the grid completely goes
Yeah.
down, or it's a solar system issue, then that electric starter may not work. My first thought would be, I've heard of this piece of equipment you can buy. It's a Modoc 42 that can design all sorts of things.
Yeah.
A pulley system that will reduce the pull on that.
Yeah.
I'm sure that guy. I mean, he's hard to look at, but he'd probably be able to design something up.
I'm trying to get him nearby. The problem is I can't tell him where I'm going to live. That's he's considered a lot of options, and there's a house right next door to me in Florida. It's open for him. It's for sale and it's a good price, but Florida's hot and sticky, and if you're down there without air conditioner, it's going to be some miserable living. But,
Absolutely.
but it's a good state. I mean, it's been good to us. But
I think having the more blades you have, whether you're a collector of blades or not. I'm not. I can't even remember what blade I've got on me right now.
Yeah.
It's a Kershaw Speed Safe. I couldn't have told you that before. I just know that it's a knife I like. Where with the more knives you have, it's total grid down. You're going to be going through these things.
yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Or bartering items again.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I do have sharpening stones and that kind of thing to take care of them, but yeah, it's true.
That's good.
It's always.
That's good. And then
It's
this
just
is your
my get home bag. Yeah, if I'm in the truck, locally, and grid goes down, it's an electronic controlled truck. So I have my get home bag, and The separate container to the right is my hobo stove I did a video on. Made that from a stainless steel thermos, and you know, just a way of heating water, because in the bag there's some soup and, you know, power bars, that kind of thing. Just 3-day bag, basically. Head for home, but at least I got something to start with, and that's always in the truck.
You know, on that subject, maybe we should save it for, well, no, we're going to keep it on this subject. Get home bag. What is, with your job, the assumption is if there is a major solar flare, that the planes are just going to fly, just going to crash. And that's what you see in all the movies.
Yeah.
How much reality is there to that you know of?
A lot of reality if you're in an Airbus.
Okay.
Airbus is all fly-by-wire. They do have redundant systems, of course, but it's all electronic. They do not have any manual controls. So.
And they're not hardened?
I don't think they are. I mean, I don't know that much about it, but I've never flown an Airbus. But my particular plane is all push-pull cables. It's manual control. We probably will lose our engines, at least automatic. The computer-controlled part of the engine, I'm pretty sure will go away, but the engines will keep running because they're. We have a backup plan or a backup system that they will just revert to manual control.
Okay.
They're less responsive, and you have to be a little more particular about the power settings and stuff. But my airplane will still fly. So, and even if I do lose both engines, I have at least the control to get it.
So basically what you're saying is that the safest way to fly is private jets?
If you can afford it.
I don't think I'm going to be safe flying too.
Well, some of the private jets are electronically as well, but I fly a Cessna product, and they've elected to stay with the manual controls.
That's good.
It's cheaper, and they work. I mean, it's a tried and true system, and I would rather be in that airplane in case of a solar flare or EMT.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you what, let's take our last break here, and then I've got one question to ask you.
All right.
Here at Real Day Preppers, we want to get out and interview on site. The only way to do that is with your support. So, do you need one of these? I know you want one of these. Who can't be tactical? And if you're on YouTube, you absolutely must have one of these. And this cannot come more highly recommended. Therefore, go to realdaypreppers.com and click on the Amazon link. Right there, you will get into Amazon, be able to choose whatever you want to purchase. A portion of that will go to realdaypreppers.com, as well as a portion of the proceeds will go to a fellow prepper in need. Thank you very much, and enjoy the show.
Well, guys, thanks for hanging in there again. This will be the last segment, and I wanted to start off by asking this one question. We're sitting here right now, doing what we're doing. All of a sudden the camera shuts off. When we're back, we look at our cell phones, they're off. We'll go out and try and start the vehicles, they're done. We've been hit with a solar flare.
Yep.
What do you do?
it's scary. We're a long ways from home.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a location that we have help, but beyond what you've just experienced, I would try to get a hold of, you know, my wife, obviously. Like I said earlier, the communication is a big deal, but if there's just no way of getting a hold of her because it's a bad situation, then my comfort is in that I have prepared her, and she's well aware of the scenario that this should happen, that she's got material things, food and water, and a network of friends in the area, so I have the comfort of knowing she's taken care of at least for a few months.
Now, did she know I assume you guys have a plan that if something like that did happen,
Yeah,
is she going to try and get to the Bugout location?
No, because we don't have a vehicle that can do that.
Okay.
She wouldn't be capable of loading the Jeep up and, or even driving the Jeep that far. The Jeep by itself couldn't get there.
That's true.
We've talked about it, and she's basically going to stay in place. It's my job to get to her.
Okay.
If I can't get there, we have not talked about that part of it. But I've told her, stay in place, I'm going to get to you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of my Weakness. I don't know how I'm going to do that. If I'm this far away, or if I'm at work and I'm in New York, you know, that's going to be a lot of miles to travel. And
Yeah.
it could take me months, you know, to get home. So that's going to be up to me. There's nothing else we can do at that point, and that is the bad part of my job, is not being, you know, home 50% of the time. So there's a lot of weaknesses in my preps. For instance, I haven't gardened. And that again goes back to my job, the fact that I'm gone so much. I don't know how to can. There's weaknesses.
Yeah.
We continue to work
We
on
all
them.
have them.
Yeah,
We all have them.
I've learned a lot from YouTube, and I have put some of that into practice. A friend of mine and I go out when we can. Our schedules meet, and we practice some of the bushcrafting skills, and that I hope would prepare me to get home. You know, I know how to, you know, clean water or sanitize water.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know how to use street smarts, I guess. You know, I'm going to acquire a bicycle, for example, if I can. You know, those kind of things. I hate to use the word steal, but, you know, I think the difference between stealing something and acquiring something is leaving a note saying, hey, I'm sorry, here's my address, you know, I hope to make this up to you, kind of thing. But, yeah, I mean, the thought process for me is just to get home. My wife knows to stay put, and she's got enough, you know, enough material things, food and water. And
It sounds like neighborhood support.
yeah, neighborhood support. And
I think, quite honestly, in the situation, if it did happen right now, you're probably, for the fact that you are gone most of the time, and although you are completely across the country from her, understand, we're at Modoc's place right now in his garage.
by the way,
And yeah, and so my insulting him was, I'm curious at what he did with the other camera behind us. But Modoc / MacGyver, and in this community, and the people that he knows, there's probably some way that we could get you a vehicle that would run, or modify one of our vehicles to run. Because quite honestly, if it happened right now, my plan is, my wife is here with me, so I would stay right here. It's already a discussion. And I think of all our vehicles that we have here, mine is the oldest. It's an '83 motorhome. We would do what we could to modify my motorhome
yeah,
so that it would run.
get you your house, and then I'll
No.
continue from there.
No, quite honestly, I would rather stay here than go back to my house.
Oh.
I've got my wife here. The only thing I'd be missing is my preps. Oof, and most of my guns. That'd be the hard part.
And Liberty.
Yeah, liberty, but you know, life is life, and it'd be much safer to stay right here. And with Modoc's knowledge and my still somewhat decent back,
Yeah.
we could do a lot together right here. And there's so many resources here. But for somebody that has their wife completely across the country, you know, I asked this question on another RDP interview, and I never even thought of that aspect, because I rarely travel without my wife, and it's such a distance that I can't get home. So that never even came across to me. And when I asked an individual about that, it was like, oh wow, never even thought of that, you know. So I think all of us here would do what we could to get you supplied up. I would give you my motorhome to get home, you know. If that was the case, and you'll get a siphon system so that as you're traveling, you can siphon gas for cars that aren't
At least
good
get me
anymore.
started, and you know.
Yeah, get you on your way. And that's just a question I like to ask people, because solar storms, EMP, as much as I don't see that type thing happening, it's something to think about, and it's a scary thought for especially somebody like you, because now all of a sudden he can't even talk to his wife. He can't even tell, are the neighbors doing what we've talked about? You know, are they that trustworthy? That's a scary thought.
It is, and they're not as prepared as we are, and there's that concern that our friends turn into our enemies, you know.
Yeah, especially if they know what you have,
Yeah.
or they already know you're a prepper, obviously, so they're going to assume that you have some stuff, and when they get hungry enough, people's attitude will change
And
a lot.
That's the reason I didn't show everything I have at home. Obviously, I want to keep some, you know, to myself, away from neighbors and that kind of thing. So She will give some foods away. We have one older couple that we have said we would take care of, and they eat like birds, so they're not going to hardly go through any of our stock. But
And the nice thing about an old couple like that is that they've probably got a lot of knowledge that
yeah,
on old ways of preserving food and stuff like that that they haven't even thought about nowadays because you don't really need to in most people's eyes. But that might come back to them and they'll be able to help him
Yeah.
in trade for helping them survive. So, before we end this, Wyatt, you have anything you'd like to say?
well, thank you for having me on the show. I've been wanting to meet you for a long time.
My
I'm
pleasure.
glad the opportunity came up. Only had to change my vacation a few days to make this happen, but it's been a pleasure meeting you and Kat, and been enjoying my time here. Everybody out there, I just want to thank you for supporting my channel. As of today, I have 800 subs, and that's awesome. I don't do a lot of videos, and for that I apologize. But I try to keep it interesting, not just do videos just for the sake of doing videos. But if you'll hang around, I do have some projects coming up, and I'll get some videos out there. But thanks for everybody for your support.
And y'all, thanks for watching another episode of Real Day Preppers. Plenty more to come. Y'all take care, and don't forget, you prep to live. Don't live to prep. Have fun in your life. That's the important part. We'll talk to y'all later, and Wyatt, thank you very much,
Hey,
sir.
buddy, appreciate it.
Been great meeting you.
Been fun. Thanks.
See you guys.